I am definitely feeling a lot more confident, and that's down to the changes that I've been begging for from Poch. Do you know what I mean? He's trusting our players a little bit more, the younger players with quality. I know you guys like to obviously go on about experience, but like I've said 1,000,001 times, the reality is we're working with young players. But I believe in their quality, and Poch is now believing in their quality, and we look a lot better. So yeah, I am a little bit more confident now that we'll beat Burnley, to be honest.
Bro, your confidence levels are going to get dashed, man. Because VK, big Vinny company, he's got his first 3 points in the bag. I'm telling you, mate, it's going to be popping off at Turf.
Listen,
it's going to be going on.
Lewis, yeah, bro. I watch Burnley. Listen, it's like watching Chelsea this season, right? They keep the ball, they play this pretty football, but it's like they've got no striker. You know what I mean? When they get in that final third, they freeze. They should have battered Man United, but they just don't have attackers really. They attack from their left hand side, but apart from that, it's very weak, you know. And defensively, we've been very, very good. Even the other day when I was watching us at the ground, I was saying because I was with Charlie at the time, yeah. Big up Charlie. Like I was saying, look at our shape. We're so well drilled. Like everyone knows what they're doing defensively. We're looking good. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not worried about Burnley's firing power, because when even against United, who are just leaking goals left, right.
Well, you need to be worried, man. You need to be worried. I'm telling you.
They couldn't
score.
Burnley
played all right. Burnley played all right, man. Burnley
played. Yeah, but the thing is, Burnley. That's what I'm saying. What are you doing with the ball? You can keep the ball. You can play that pretty football, but what are you doing in the final third? They don't have that. They don't bring you that danger.
Yeah, you got to think that at some point that will click, though, right? Like they're not just going to score goals all season, surely. Yeah, well, I'm thinking hopefully they will.
Not against us, because defensively we've actually been all right this season. I'll be real with you. Like a lot of the goals that we've conceded have been stupid individual mistakes. I know a goal can always come from a mistake, but if you actually look at the mistakes that we've had, yeah, it's been a howler. Do you know what I mean? Now, like I said, we've got a little bit more cohesion. I'm seeing a lot more patterns. You know, it looks a lot better. And Terry can vouch, because I've been on here complaining about us week after week, saying we're not doing anything with the ball. But now we're looking a lot better, man. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot more confident about Burnley, man. I think
if Manchester United can win 2-0, if Manchester United can win 2-0 against Burnley and Chelsea don't win, I don't know what to say about Chelsea, to be honest. You cannot lose to Burnley. They keep the ball and do all of this. You need to win again. I'm not taking this. Vincent Kompany, pretty football, fantastic, but you have championship players, my friend. You still need to get results. Yes, you got one.
You want to know something?
It's fantastic, you know, but.
Don, you said something about you're not afraid of Burnley's attack. Nobody's afraid of Chelsea's attack either. The reality is it's between whoever scores out of the two of you, and then the other one's and then you're gonna have to shut up shop. You said your defense is good, their defense is quite poor. So I think if they get a goal against you guys, they're gonna try to hold on to that. But their home form has been horrendous.
The main difference.
Team. So for Chelsea, not only should you guys win, this should be the opportunity where you guys start getting a lot of form from your players and you push on. But if Burnley score and they get an early lead, we know Chelsea, when there's a low block and they do that and they play defensive football, you don't tend to score.
But the reason why we struggled against,
if Vincent Kompany will change his tactics if he's 1-0 up, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, the main reason why we struggled against low blocks, bro, is because we were literally putting out two attackers. We were playing Ben Chilwell left wing. You know, we're playing Enzo in the 10, playing Gallagher in the pivot. Was playing Levi. We're playing basically three centre backs. We're still doing that now, but what's happened is we've brought in Cole Palmer, who's actually that link between the midfield and the attack. So like I said, we're creating more clear-cut chances. A lot of the chances we were creating before, bro, they were very, very scrappy. Do you know what I mean? Some of them were howlers, yes, like Jackson when he missed against Forest. That was a howler. I can't excuse that. You should be burying that. But if you actually watched our games, we haven't been creating the chances through the midfield. Lewis, he'll tell you about the game against Wolves. Haaland wasn't getting the chances that he usually gets. Do you know what I'm saying? Some of these strikers, sometimes you need to actually put it on the plate for them. And that's what we've been doing the past two games. So I'm feeling more confident that we'll create those sort of chances. So we should be burying them now. And Burnley don't play a low block either.
Do you think Chelsea have turned the corner? As Don sort of suggested.
Chelsea play Arsenal after the international break. They're going to get spanked. It's typical Chelsea. They're going to win a couple games. They're going to get happy. And then they're going to get, once they start facing the big boys after the international break, you look at that fixture list, it's going to be hard times for them to even pick up points.
See, this is what they were doing before the Spurs game as well.
No, but
the way you lot were talking, so arrogant.
Don, it's not arrogance. This is the reality. You could not beat Nottingham Forest at home. You only beat Luton Town this season in the league.
Have you not just heard everything I've said about? Have you not just heard what I've said about how we've changed things tactically?
It's not a situation where it's arrogance. It's literally Chelsea Football Club have not given you yourself as a Chelsea fan the confidence to sit here and say you're going to beat Burnley easily. So what?
But I've just told you that Poch has literally changed the tactics, bro. And I said that if Poch carried on playing the way we were at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't finish in the top 6. I've been saying that, bro. So you can't use how we were playing before when we've changed that now to say, oh, that's the reason why Arsenal.
But what I can tell you is you're going to be facing tougher opposition than Fulham, then what do you call it, Nottingham Forest, then Luton Town.
Guess what? We've looked more fluid than you this football.
The next couple games after Burnley. One second. The next couple games after Burnley, understand that you're going to be playing Arsenal, Brentford. Then after that, you're going to have Tottenham, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, Manchester United. You guys you haven't turned the corner. Once you start facing the big teams, then you're actually going to realize how poor you guys are.
That's fine, Nigal. But I'll be real with you. Listen, I've been saying Arsenal looked convincing this season, and I'll be real with you. I've seen Chelsea play more fluid football than you lot this season. Do you know what I'm saying? You lot might have more guaranteed goals in your team, but we've looked more fluid than you, my brother. I'll be real with you.
Guess what?
You can come with the. Hold on.
Let me address that.
He asked you a simple question. He told you, did Chelsea turn the corner? He could have answered no and given all the reasons. You didn't have to say you're in the mud, you're shit. You didn't have to slander them and say you're going to get spanked.
I gave them the honest.
You didn't have to say all of this.
1 second. I gave them the honest assessment. They haven't turned the corner yet. They haven't faced the big teams. Once they start to face the big teams, they're going to get a reality check again. But to say you have fluid football, bro, guess what? Bossing the midfield and not doing anything in the final third is not fluid football.
No. We've looked more fluid than you in the league this season, bro. We have.
Say what you want to say, bro. What do you define as fluid? Passing the ball around and not doing nothing.
No, I'm talking about creating clear-cut chances is what I'm talking about.
And not finishing them off against lesser opposition.
The other week, we literally created double the clear-cut chances that you did. And so I use stats as a secondary. Hold on. I use stats as a secondary factor to my eye test, yeah? My eyes are telling me that you lot aren't looking as fluid as what you were. Whether you want to convince yourself otherwise, right, you can do all of that. But the arrogance from you, Igal, is the reason why he was in the mud.
Arrogance?
No. Let me talk.
What arrogance?
The arrogance. No, because you're like,
Arsenal's going to beat you convincingly,
bro. Because you're talking like things haven't changed. Poch hasn't changed his tactics. Poch hasn't changed the personnel. You're talking about Chelsea from the start of the season where we had Ben Chilwell left wing, bro.
What are you talking about, bro? You just drew against Bournemouth last week. Like the other week.
2 weeks ago.
What are we talking about?
3 weeks ago, before the international break.
Just the other week. Like, what are we talking about? You're making it seem like a win against Brighton in the League Cup and a win against Fulham away. All of a sudden, Chelsea have turned the corner.
I never said we've turned the corner. I said I feel more confident now because Poch has made some changes that have been.
Hey, guess what? You can feel more confident, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen enough to say you guys have turned the corner. You need to beat Burnley convincingly. That's fair enough. You need to beat Burnley convincingly and actually have a performance where you score a bunch of goals and it's not Luton Town at home.
Gal,
and that's fair enough.
Are you scared of a future Chelsea storm impending? By that, I mean...
Until Chelsea show that they can actually run a club properly, no one should be scared of them.
By that, I mean a more long-term view. So, for example, next season, from my perspective, it's only a matter of time before Chelsea properly click because there's too much good talent at Chelsea for it to not succeed eventually.
But do they have the patience? They might sack Poch by then, and they're going to have another manager to make it click. We don't know what's going to happen at Chelsea. It's very unknown. I'm not sitting here saying it's going to be an utter failure. I'm just merely saying they haven't shown enough to say they've even remotely turned the corner. And to be confident as a Chelsea fan, fair, you're a Chelsea fan. You're going to be confident. That's your team. But for me, as a rival looking in, I don't see enough.
But Igal, for me saying that I feel confident about Burnley doesn't mean that we've turned the corner. I'm with you, bro. I agree with you. I need to see more for me to say that we've actually turned the corner. I need a larger sample size. But from what I've been seeing at the start of the season, in comparison to what I've seen in the past 2 games, with the players that I've been begging for, with Poch being a little bit more brave and trusting his younger players, we've looked a lot better. And it's been in this sort of, we're playing like how it was in pre-season now. We're looking a lot better, bro. That's just the fact of it.
2 games against Fulham and Brighton is what you're getting confidence from. You guys are actually struggling this season, and that's what's giving you confidence. Hey, fair enough.
You go game by game, innit? That's what you got to do.
Can I ask you a question? I want to ask Mo this question because you're like no dog in this fight per se. But do you feel that there's been a tactical change at Chelsea, or do you just think they've taken their chances in the last 2 matches? Has it been that big a shift tactically, or has it just been different personnel have put the ball in the back of the net?
No, it's not tactically changing completely. I think it's more confidence. Players are playing with confidence. I don't know what Poch did, but I thought that pass that Levi Colwell did for Modric, he wouldn't have done it 3 weeks ago. It's just him going forward like this. It's not tactically they were creating chances. I think they are the 4th in the league in creating big chances. They are 1st in ball position. They were creating the chances, and Jackson wasn't just putting it in the back. The coach isn't going to step on the pitch and put the ball in the back of the net. If you reach the goal, this is the coach's job. Now it's on the players to put the ball in the back of the net. They weren't. They are now, so they're winning the game. Tactically, they haven't changed that much.
They have changed tactically. I don't understand.
Not that much.
I don't understand how. Literally, Conor Gallagher came out after last game and literally said, Poch told me and Enzo to rotate, so for me to go further up and for Enzo to be the deeper man. Before that, Enzo was literally playing 90 minutes as a 10, in the position that you say he can't play in, by the way. Cole Palmer wasn't starting games. He kept coming on for 15 minutes.
But that's not tactically. That's changing personnel. That's not tactically.
No, it is changing. It is changing tactics. It's changing tactics, bro. Because you're telling one player to play in a different position. You are changing tactics.
Not tactics.
Yes, you are changing tactics.
Okay. For the most part, it's the same tactical setup. You're just putting.
There's different personnel that will click and put the ball in the back or create.
Yeah, okay.
That's my point. We're not different. We're not different on that. I think he changed the right personnel in the right places. If you call that tactically, which is fine, it's just different definition. But what I mean is that Pochettino probably woke up and said, yeah, this is not going to work. Maybe I need Enzo next to Caicedo. Maybe he put the right personnel, so it clicked. Now you're creating the chances. Broya looks good as well. I didn't think that Jackson looks bad. Jackson, I think his movement was good, but people just were looking at him. He's not putting the ball at the back of the net. I hope he does, because I like the player. Honestly, I like what I see from him. I like him. I like him. In my opinion, Chelsea, if it clicks, you cannot tell me that Levi Colwell, Enzo, Caicedo, Cole Palmer is a fantastic player. Yes, he doesn't have the experience, but these are talented players that it should work. On paper, it should work. I don't like Modric, but the rest of them, they are good. They are not bad. They are not bad. I like all the hate, you know me. I don't like the project. I want the project to fail, but I'm being honest. It looks better now. And 2 games, I think, is a good sample size. We were criticizing Arsenal after 2 games. Why we cannot praise Chelsea after 2 games? It's the same.
Because it's a game in the League Cup and it's a game against Fulham.
You can praise them, bro, but we can't start saying.
We're not saying they're going to come fourth, man. We just have to praise them a little bit.
But understand, you've seen the games that I mentioned, the fixtures that I mentioned coming up. That's when I will say, you know what? If they actually start getting points against some of the bigger teams, some of the teams that I think are actually challenging in the league, then fair. Because defensively, they have looked decent. They haven't actually looked that bad overall. They just have not been scoring the goals. And that has been a problem since last year. So once they start scoring goals on a consistent basis, and I can see them having consistent performances, fair. But a game against Fulham in the league away, good result. You did well. Against Brighton, good job. You got back-to-back wins for the first time since March, but you guys are not consistent.
Yeah, no, I agree with Miguel. It's definitely the next few weeks, the next few game weeks, we've got some tough games, man. So these don't need to turn up and prove people like Igal wrong. You know what I'm saying? And then we can have a conversation to say, have Chelsea actually turned the corner? But right now, I think it's a little bit premature, man. I think just game by game, innit? Build a little bit more confidence, build that momentum, build that chemistry, and we keep going.
Blaze here is a Chelsea fan, says Chelsea only beat Fulham convincingly, but mighty Champions League Arsenal couldn't beat 10 men Fulham at home. If you don't believe in 15th place teams can beat you, check Lens.
I honestly think that's disrespectful to Lens. They finished second in the French league last year. I know it was an embarrassing loss from our perspective, but no team in the Champions League is a dead team. Let's not do that.
Man United are. We're a dead team in the Champions League this year, but there we go. This year says Igal is scared of Spurs and Chelsea being back. They'll be back.
Yeah, Chelsea will be back. So I don't know about Spurs, but yeah, I think Dobbins was right earlier on. I think Arsenal fans should be worried in the next few years that their little spell back at the top of the Premier League again will end, because I mean, if you're spending £1 billion, naturally you would expect them to eventually overtake Arsenal. I don't think that's controversial.
I wouldn't call it a spell. I'll call it a moment, a little moment in 1 year that he came second. If they do it this year, I will raise my hand and say, we're all wrong. Maybe Arsenal are consistent, but for 20 years, for the last like 8 years, Spurs finished ahead of Arsenal. When Spurs are back, doesn't mean Spurs are gonna win the league. Spurs back means Spurs are competing for top 4, like under Pochettino. That's what I mean. Spurs back. So maybe Arsenal, yes, they should be worried because Igali's logic for Chelsea that I need to be consistency. Also, I want to see Arsenal this year as well. Looks like the signs are there, competing for the league, going toe-to-toe with the likes of City and Liverpool. Now we're going to say Arsenal are going to be consistent for the project is going for the next 3-4 years. But if Arsenal don't do that this year, we're going to go back to, you competed 1 year and then you fell off.
You know, it is.
It's the same logic.
I think because we started... I think because we started so poorly the season where we finished 5th that people forget that we have... It's kind of a casual take when you say Arsenal's only been good last season. Because you go back till January from the year before, we were consistent for almost 2 years now. So this whole thing that Arsenal,
we're talking about titles though. We're talking about
calendar season. Yes, you're factually correct. We've only done it for 1 calendar season, like football season. But if you look at the years,
you've done it for 31 games.
2020,
31 games.
Now, we've been doing it
games.
consistently.
Just be right. 31 games only. It's 31 games until Saliba got injured, and that's it. From that point on,
I'm talking about
literally 31 games last year, wasn't it? Wasn't it 31 games?
Even Roy could back me up on this. As a
Did Lewis, were you scared at the end of the season, or were you threw out the last 2 games, Lewis, in the end of the season last year, and you lost the last 2 games because you won the league in game week 35? That's the reality, Igal. You competed for 31 games. Fair enough, but
what are you talking about?
I'm talking about our team. I'm talking
about a team's overall performances. Why are you talking about the league? We know what happened in the league last year. That's irrelevant to your performances throughout the calendar season.
What's a calendar season? It's a season. It's called a season, isn't it? Am I my English? I'm sorry, English is not my first language.
No,
so can you just explain that to me?
No, I understood that. He just means a season. I get where Gal's coming from though. Like for a bit like we used to say for Liverpool. Liverpool turned good. Do you remember that January? The January where they bought Van Dijk. From that point onwards, you saw a different kind of Liverpool. Yes, they went on to win some major trophies. Arsenal still to do that, but for a good couple of years now, Arsenal have been a fairly consistent team in the Premier League at this level. But I do agree with Lewis. I think everybody, probably barring City and Newcastle, in the medium to long term, has to be worried about if and when Chelsea's project works, if they keep spending this money, because they are willing to spend so much more than everybody else. And they'll taper that down a little bit. But if they get this play working, if they start winning more games, if they get back into the Champions League, they're not going anywhere. There's talks of a brand new, huge stadium, which will generate massive amounts of revenue. So, yeah, look, I said about Chelsea, as much as it's great seeing them where they are, I'm not, in my head, I can't just write them off as a team that's never coming back because I just don't believe that right now. And that's not a dig at Arsenal per se. That's just my club. I think Liverpool, as well, anyone who's not prepared to spend what they're prepared to spend and do it well, they haven't. You can argue they haven't done that yet. That remains to be seen whether this all kind of clicks into gear. But it's hard to judge Chelsea spending because in the short term it looks poor, but they're doing it in a way that no one else has done. So it could still, none of us know whether it's going to work. If it fails, then they'll be laughed at. If it doesn't, there could be some problems. But